Come on in, gentlemen. Good morning. I'm joined by Minister Casey Madhu, Minister of Municipal Affairs, who is responsible for emergency response in the Government of Alberta, Minister Devin Dreeshen, Minister of Agriculture and Forestry, in whose ministry resides the forest fire teams, as well as Bruce Mayer, Assistant Deputy Minister at Municipal, and Shane Schreiber, Managing Director of the Alberta Emergency Management Agency. Right now, Alberta wildfire crews are fighting a significant wildfire in northwest Alberta in the region of High Level, of the Dene Ta First Nation, and of Mackenzie County. Last night, I was briefed in the Provincial Operations Centre by officials from the Alberta Agriculture and Forestry, as well as the Alberta Emergency Management Agency, on the efforts to both fight the wildfire and ensure that residents leave the area safely. A state of local emergency is in effect in the town of High River and in Mackenzie County, and a mandatory evacuation order is in place for the town of High Level and parts of Mackenzie County and of High Level. The Dene Ta First Nation declared a state of local emergency for Bush River, Chate, and Meander River, and evacuations are underway. Residents have been told to prepare to be away from home for at least 72 hours. Approximately 4,000 people have been evacuated without incident, and I'm pleased to say it was a safe, orderly evacuation thanks to the cooperation of residents and first responders. I spoke yesterday with high-level Mayor Crystal McAteer, and there has been a high degree of cooperation between the municipality and provincial crews sent in to assist. The Mayor thanked the Government of Alberta for what she described as tremendous resources and a timely response. On the fire intensity scale of 1 to 6, the high-level fire is currently assessed to be a 6, meaning that the fire is jumping from crown to crown of trees. The right call was made by Mayor McAteer to get residents out early based on the unpredictability of the winds. The fire has approached as close as 5 kilometers to the southwest of High Level. This meant that residents could evacuate in the daytime without imminent threat. We know at this time that no homes have been damaged, and there have been no known injuries associated with the fires, but electricity and cellular service have been lost in the area. ATCO has informed us that power is expected to be restored later today, and I'd like to thank ATCO and their employees for doing tremendous work to get power back online. We understand that power losses have also affected the communities of Fort Vermilion and Lacrete. For those residents who have had to leave their homes, we ask that you please register at reception centres, even if you aren't staying there and are choosing to stay with friends or family or are camping. We want to be able to communicate directly with you through the Alberta Emergency Management Association and through the town of High Level. Reception centres are open at the Slave Lake Legacy Centre and at the High Prairie Sports Palace, and additional reception centres are being set up in Peace River and in Grand Prairie. I understand that as of last night, we had some roughly 400 people. 540 people registered in Slave Lake. I gather there are a couple of hundred in Lacrete, mainly staying with family and friends, and that some 400 people from the Dene Ta First Nation also arrived in Slave Lake. As I say, we understand people may find informal opportunities to stay with family and friends, but we'd like to be able to communicate with them, and we encourage everybody to watch for updates online at the website of the Alberta Emergency Management Agency. Our first priority is to protect communities threatened by wildfire, and I've been assured by officials that we are putting the right resources in place. There are some 100 provincial employees and contractors involved directly in fighting the fire, as well as those involved in trying to create a fire barrier along the highways and on the perimeter of the town. And there are as well water bombers, both helicopters and airplanes that have been designated for this operation. As I say, Alberta Wildfire has 89 firefighters along with heavy equipment and air support assigned to the wildfire. Significant resources have been dispatched to the high-level area to assist local authorities, including the Alberta Emergency Management Agency Incident Support Team, the Alberta First Responders Radio Communications Team, and many others. Over the next 48 hours, we'll see crews from Ontario, Nova Scotia, and British Columbia join Alberta firefighters under mutual agreements that we have with those provincial governments. These resources are very much appreciated. I'd like to thank those governments and our fellow Canadians for coming to our assistance, and we will be certainly proud to return the favor when needed in the future. I'm impressed by the level of cooperation seen across ministries, agencies, and municipalities, and the great work underway by local authorities. I've spoken to Mayor MacTier, and I'll be speaking hopefully to Mackenzie County Reeve Josh Knelson later this morning. Times like these reinforce the strength of Albertans. We work together when disaster strikes, and we take care of our neighbors when they're in need of support. We thank the men and women working hard to patrol, monitor, and control these fires, and we thank them sincerely for their efforts. Unfortunately, the dry conditions in northern Alberta are forecast to continue for the foreseeable future, with the fire danger possibly increasing this week. I'm told that the number of fires active across the province, primarily right now in the northwest, is at or just slightly above the 5-year average. Let me remind all Albertans to follow local fire bans and to not discard cigarettes for moving vehicles. Officials believe that most of these fires likely caused by human activity. Wildfire season is a long and tough battle every year, and we need to be prepared for the long haul this summer. So I'm incredibly proud of the efforts of Alberta's wildfire firefighters and first responders. I want to assure them and the residents who have had to flee their homes that the government of Alberta has their back. I'm hoping to visit high level later today, should conditions permit, to be able to see firsthand the conditions in the area and to meet with local officials, both municipal and provincial, who are engaged in this fight to ensure that they're getting all of the resources and support that they need. And with that, the two ministers and I have to go and get sworn in, so we're going to leave you in the capable hands of officials to take any technical questions that you have. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll open up questions.
We've seen a lot of evacuations so far, and Premier Kenney just encouraged people to make sure that they register. Can you talk a little bit about how many people we've seen so far? I know he had some numbers, but
Yeah, right. So of the 4,000 people that have evacuated from high level in the Denetaw First Nation, the numbers that have registered at registration centers are 542 in Slave Lake, 1 in High Prairie, 3 in Grand Prairie, and about 100 in Lacrete. Now, what usually happens is only about 15% of evacuees will register and request emergency supports. Many will go to stay with family, friends, or go to a major urban center and will wait there for 72, 96 hours. However, if they're out for an extended period, so let's say longer than 96 hours, 4 or 5 days, we would ask them to register at the registration centers and make themselves known so we can track them and try and get them whatever supports we're going to provide.
how bad is it looking right now? I know we got a lot of briefings from you during Fort McMurray, right?
Some, yeah.
So how bad are things looking right now comparatively over what we saw in Fort McMurray or what we've seen in previous years?
Well, I'll just give it, so it's the fire hazard is increasing in the north, and you'll see that there's a number of out-of-control wildfires. That is not unusual for Alberta, but the weather is going to stay in the north, hot, dry, and windy, and so that means the threat is going to increase. And I guess maybe I'll turn it over to Bruce to give some more details on the actual fire weather threat.
And a bit of a difference between Fort McMurray and the high-level fire itself. Fort McMurray had west winds that actually blew the fire into the community itself. Currently, we have southeast winds, have had for the last week or so. So the fire, excuse me, is actually burning on the southwest side of high level, headed northwest. And forecast for the next few days is the strong gusty winds will be from the southeast to east and northeast, which are all favorable from a high level perspective.
Okay. You said 1 to 6, this is a level 6. Does it actually get worse than that?
No, no, it does not. At level 6, level 5 and level 6 from a rank perspective, it indicates how active the fire is, and essentially it becomes something that you can't put manpower on directly on the edges. So we have to use indirect attacks, so air tankers along the flanks, any actual ignition where we're going to try and stop the fire, we put that along the flanks as well. We will not put any people in front of the head. It's just too dangerous from a safety perspective.
Are there any other communities, we've got 4,000 so far, any other communities in line here that people should be preparing?
No, nothing at this point. Long distance away, another hours, Rainbow Lake, it's not a big issue. Where the challenges are right now is Highway 35 into high level and Highway 58 to the west. There's a couple of power lines that run along there, and so we're focusing all our efforts along the southeast perimeter of the fire itself, which follows along Highway 35 up to the southwest side of the town of High Level itself.
Are there any road closures up there?
Highway 35 and Highway 58 have been closed, and Alberta Transportation is rerouting people through alternate accesses.
Any industrial facilities in that?
There's Norbord has a oriented strand board plant to the southwest of High Level. We've been working with them over the last week to ensure that they've got proper sprinkler protection, cleaning up the site to withstand the fire. Fire is still to the west, southwest of the plant. Tolko has a sawmill right on the south side of High Level, and they are working on putting sprinkler protection in as well. The municipality is working hard with our staff and contractors to put sprinkler protection all along the south side of High Level and along the southwest corner to ensure that that area is protected should we have a wind shift.
How do we know everybody got out? Are there door-to-door people going through to make sure?
Yeah, so that's exactly what happens. The RCMP, assisted by other first responders, will go door to door, knock on the door, and make sure that people have evacuated. There are still some people that have stayed behind, clearly first response and emergency management assets. Also there are a couple of select stores that have been left open, like grocery stores, so that first responders can get food and stuff. And then a team from Alberta Health Services to make sure that first responders have medical coverage. So there are still some people in the town, and the RCMP will make sure they go door to door and make sure everybody that's supposed to be cleared out has cleared out.
Grocery store, like the grocery store employees still working there, or is it?
Yeah, they'll probably have some essential service employees that have been given permission to stay behind, and there will be a contingency plan created to make sure that they can evacuate if the fire becomes a real issue.
Is there a senior center or hospital, any patients that have to be moved like that?
In the hospital, patients were all moved out yesterday.
Yep.
How many?
I don't.
So I was tracking 20 patients that were moved to other facilities.
How worried are you about this fire?
Always worried about fire from my perspective. We've got a few burning within the province itself. This one, because it is so close to the town of High Level, we have to make sure that we've got all the resources we need to keep it away from High Level. The municipalities up there took a bold step yesterday and evacuated people before there was any mayhem happening, dissimilar to what happened during Fort McMurray when they were all evacuated during the fire itself.
There's been a lot of money spent in the province on fire smart programming. Has some of that been done up there to try and mitigate the risk?
Yeah, there has been, from a provincial perspective, we spend about $15 million a year up in that area. I don't have an exact number, but there has been work done around the town of High Level. There's been some work done around Boucher Reserve, the Deneta, and some of the other communities in and around there.
Just had another question. Oh my God, it's left me. Is it? Oh yeah. Okay. So lessons learned from Fort Mac. Then obviously you just used the word mayhem, which I think we can all agree was kind of correct. Did that play a role in people now just taking fire danger a little perhaps more seriously than they did prior to this?
Yeah, so lessons learned from Fort McMurray, there was a couple of key ones. One was on our weather forecasting for long-term trends, relationships, and ensuring we've got clear roles and responsibilities with municipal partners, industrial partners. And I think the biggest lesson learned that we're employing right now within that area is unified command. So with that, my senior staff are lockstep with municipal senior staff, and they will make one plan as opposed to siloed plans. And that plan will include how the firefighting will take place, how the structure protection will take place, and how any evacuation work will take place. So that for us, it's a huge learning that I think we're going to be successful with.
And I think Premier Kenney mentioned that there was some kind of highest level in 5 years of fire danger. Did I hear that correctly, or can you elaborate on what we're seeing here compared with other years?
Sorry, yes, just with respect to numbers of fires, so we're on average just a little higher than what we had at the same time over a 5-year period. So we're, as of this morning, we're close to 430 wildfires since March 1. We have about 30 active fires on the books. Most of them are under control or being held. We have 6 that are out of control, High Level being our number 1 priority.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys?
Yeah, finally, do you have any numbers of, like, actual numbers of people on the ground or bombers in the air that are crews there that are fighting this thing?
Yeah, from on the High Level fire itself, we've got 89 firefighters. As I indicated, because of the intensity of the fire, we're not putting a lot of resources on there right now. We're focusing along the southeast flank. We have 24 helicopters assigned to that fire, and we've got 3 air tankers that we've been using on a regular basis. As a province, we have 16 air tankers on contract. Normally, we've brought in, over the course of the last week, an additional 7, so we've got 24 available to us throughout the season.
Yeah, and just as a follow-on to that, in addition to the wildland fire firefighters, there are additional structural fire protection assets going up. So right now, I'm tracking 10 structural protection units. These are sprinkler systems that they can use to wet down buildings and built-up areas. And then about 30 additional fire trucks and crews that have been marshaled from across the province. And they have a planning team up there that are looking at what additional assets they may need, and we're just standing by to see if they have any more requests.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Yep.